I don't want to be that kind of guy. You ready to run and gun? Time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Truck talking, I guess, repentance. Teshuvah in Hebrew. I don't want to be that guy. I did a couple of videos last year. I guess kind of giving my take on what somebody had said. And I recently did, and I was even questioning it when I released it. Did a video on Dustin Connell, which I don't change my mind on that, okay? And be honest with you, I'm surprised I've gotten very little flack at all about that video. I would say 99% of it's been supportive. But I don't want to be that guy. This is not what this channel is about. But my only guilt is I'm just passionate about, not so much about the sport, but about BASS. I've been there since 82, 81, 82, and it wasn't barely 15 years old yet at that point. So I guess you could say I was like the second generation coming in, I guess. And I actually had a lot of other videos about Brian Latimer and some more about Jacob Wheeler and Mark Daniels and just stuff that they have said like just recently. And I just deleted them. I had them in queue to air for Truck Talks, and I deleted them. I just, you know, you guys know how I feel about the video games. So, you know, I've done videos about what I think about the century belts and how I think these tournaments are going down and everything else with the video games. I've made my point, okay? But it's only because I'm passionate. That's the only thing I'm guilty of. Any of you guys that watch this channel, and I know there's a lot of you older guys that watch this channel, some guys my age, even older, that watch this channel, who I know belong to BASS, if not still belong to BASS, and just don't care about it anymore because they've seen what's happened to it. And that's because it's been allowed to happen. Whether it's just pressure, media pressure, or money, which just recently happened. So, can't say anything about it. But I don't like where it is or what it has become. Tournament fishing altogether, I don't like what it's become. Between MLF and BASS, and it really breaks my heart with BASS as far as what they're allowing, how much they're slacking, silencing people. Oh, Ray Scott, come back. But if I'm passionate about that, and I do videos about that, I'm only guilty because I'm passionate about it. I care. And man, there's just so many things going through my head. I don't want to make this video that long. But one thing I can say is a majority of the bass fishermen, I'm not saying all of them, okay, because there are still some out there. And I even know one of them. That's actually, you know, not part of this crowd, which is the majority. But I did a video a while back of where's the gentleman? Where's the gentleman in this sport? I mean, you know, a lot of the guys back in the day that plowed the field for what we have now. A lot of these guys were family men, and they also had some jobs. I mean, how many of you guys are aware that Denny Brower used to be a brick mason before he turned pro, became a guide? Rick Clun used to be a computer engineer for Exxon. Took the plunge and quit. Larry Nixon's been fishing all his life as far as guiding and everything. He guided back in high school and everything else. And I guided when I was in high school. Along with the Burger King job. And playing in bands. So anyway, but no, I'm just passionate about it. I mean, I look back, I've got a collection of Bassmasters, and they run all the way through 1997 because I sold all the rest of them I had. Because to me, 97, when it comes to Bassmaster magazine, that to me is the cutoff. And that's pretty much when Ray just didn't have a whole lot to do with bass anymore. And the magazine changed. So I stopped there. But, the Bassmaster TV show that actually taught you things. The magazines actually taught you things. Today's magazines are just rehashed articles basically from the last 20 years. So you're getting the same magazine every time you get it in the mail. Big deal. You can only take a technique so far. Like I always say, new techniques are trendy, bass never change. Stop, I'm not editing it yet. But no, I'm just passionate about it. I know what, back when I was growing up, and I've said this before, I can remember as a kid seeing a pickup truck, whether it's towing a boat or not, but I see a pickup truck with a BAS sticker on the back, and all I could think of was, man, that guy's a pro. Man, he's in that organization? Wow. And this is a 10, 12-year-old kid. Before I finally bought, I think, a Field and Stream magazine at a grocery store. I was probably about 11 years old or something like that. Or had mom and dad buy it for me or whatever, and only because it had a BASS invitation in it. I didn't care about the magazine. I just wanted to join BASS. And it's only because, of course, you couldn't buy it in stores. You can do it now, which pissed me off. But I always saw the ads in magazines, and it fascinated me. I mean, Bassmasters wasn't on TV yet. I did grow up around one club in my hometown, and all these guys bowled. And of course, I grew up at a bowling alley, and since I was a little kid, and they had the patches on the jackets and this, that, and the other, and I was just that fascinated me. And I'd see some of them at the local tackle store that we would stop at on Friday afternoons on the way to the lake every weekend. And it just, to me, it's just something classy. It means something, or at least it meant something back then. And I still put bass stickers on stuff, but I put the old stickers on there. I don't put the new sticker on there. New sticker doesn't mean anything to me. Actually, them changing the sticker was a huge warning to me. Old sticker, the old decal. And I know a lot of you guys are watching this going, all right, here's another old fart that just doesn't want to change with the times. He doesn't want to change with the times. Well, you know what? Change is not always good. It's almost like we just let our guard down and let a whole bunch of AOCs come into the tournament business. Oh, that's scary. Bunch of dumb people. That's basically what's happened. It's become almost communist. And people getting busted left and right for cheating and doing this, that, and the other. Man, that would not have played when Ray Scott was around. If he caught you doing that, you were banned. You were banished from Bass. You couldn't fish tournaments anymore. You didn't even belong to the organization anymore. Ray didn't play around. Ray was all about being fair to everybody else. And again, that came to the gentleman. I mean, you didn't hear about guys cheating back in those days and trying to break the rules. I mean, did they push the rules? Well, of course, everybody pushes the rules. I mean, you're only human. You're not a competitor if you don't try to push the rules as far as you can go. And thanks to Roland Martin, he created a lot of those rules from pushing stuff. And I've heard guys complain about him. Well, Scott Martin got busted for him. What do you think Roland Martin did back in the day? Guys, it was a growing sport. You got to start somewhere, okay? Roland didn't cheat. He just pushed the limits. I mean, if he cheated, Ray would have had him out long time ago. But he didn't cheat, or else Ray would have busted him. Ray didn't care who you were. But, you know, I'm passionate about this, and when I make videos about guys and what they say and basically slap everybody in the face with what they say because they can care less and this, that, and the other, that to me is not tournament bass fishing. That's not what it grew up on. And it grew and grew and grew because of the honesty of the guys in these tournament trails. I mean, there's some buttholes. Of course there was. But they still were part of the game. They were still good fishermen. And eventually just leveled out as they got older, like everybody else does. But that is my only guilt. And I repent over releasing some of those videos. I've taken the Dustin Connell down. Just because more I think about it, it's like I can't stand myself that I did that. It was a knee-jerk reaction. I'm guilty of it. Do I stand behind what I said? Yes. I absolutely do stand behind what I said. But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that's the negative Nancy that wants to say, did you see what this guy said? Or did you see this rule change? Or did you see this tournament, what they're doing? I'm not, that's just not me. I know it's out there. There's plenty of guys out there that are saying it. So I'd rather just keep the channel as teaching, giving my opinion on things, just being a goofball, because I'm not a serious person. I mean, I remember when I met Gerald Swindle, I actually had him doubled over laughing. You know, he think he's the king of the one-liners? Oh, I had that boy going. Yeah, me and him hit it off good. Cool dude. But yeah, I mean, you know, I just don't want to be the guy that's you know, negative like that. I even had one guy who'd been here for a while tell me, he says, I'm out. You're going to do stuff like that, I'm out. And it didn't surprise me that somebody did that. And it did not cause me to change my mind. I was already thinking about it when it was released last week, before the comments even come in. I was sitting there going, you know, I think I might just take this down. And after about a day or so, I took it down. Because I was just like, no, that's not how I want to do things. So if I'm making you guys mad, please, like I said, I'm repenting. Please forgive me. You know, it's just, the only thing I'm guilty of is I'm passionate. And I'm not trying to say I want things back the way they were, because that's never going to happen. All I'm saying is if it's going to change, if it's going to truly change for the better, then change for the better. Keep the grassroots alive. Just change for the better. The grassroots are gone, guys. Somebody sprayed weed killer all over that stuff. It's done browned up and gone. It's fill dirt now. So, you know, keep hoping and praying that things get better with it, and that the class of people get better. I'm not saying they're all like that, but there are some guys that are just, there's some guys on the BASS tour that I'd like to slap around myself, just because they're punks. Just because their attitudes. But it's just me. That's because I'm passionate. If you're going to be in this kind of organization, don't act like that. Act like you got some sense. It's just you'd be surprised how many times at the boat ramp to that reservoir I go to. You guys see me always wearing some kind of an old shirt or old patch or something, just because it's just I'm still stuck in the old days, But you'd be surprised how many guys mention, "Hey man, I remember that patch," or "I remember that." You'd be surprised. I even had one guy the other day, a younger fella, asked me. He says, he had on one of the new, polyester print kind of things. So it was a cool looking shirt. But he asked me, he goes, "What's that?" I was like, "What, Trimax?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, well, Trimax was the first tripolymer fishing line on the market. Started out back around 85, 86. He just kind of looked at me kind of funny. He said, and I have a bunch of it. And it's a good line. He just kind of says, "I never heard of that." I said, "Well, it's discontinued." I said, "You got what you have now, but the stuff that he said he used P-line or something like that." And I told him, I says, "Well, it's because of the technology back then that's on this patch right here that you have the line that you got right now." "Oh, I never knew that." Cool. He's a cool guy. He's probably in his early 20s. Cool guy. So, it's a grassroots thing. And he was very interested in so he said, "Well, I never knew that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, there's a lot of history in fishing that you just don't realize." And I had some older reels and stuff with me, and I was like, and he was asking me about them, and so I was kind of giving him like a history lesson on some of this stuff, and he was fascinated by that. He's like, "I just thought that the stuff that we have today is the way it is." I'm like, "No, it started with, this is just a part of it. This is like 10 years into it." And he was blown away. That's the kind of people you want fishing tournaments. That's the kind of people you want, the ones that want to learn, that are fascinated by, "I didn't know that." That's the kind of people you want fishing tournaments. Those who respect the history and just don't show up to be a butthead and try to dominate everything just because it's just something they can do. No, there's a history to it. I don't know. You guys know what I'm trying to say about that kind of stuff. I'm only guilty because I love BASS, or the older BASS. I love where it came from, and I can still remember back in the day when I was a kid just being wowed. And I guess to this day I'm still wowed. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got, guys. What do y'all think? So until next time, remember, new techniques are trendy, but bass never change. May the Father bless you and keep in Yeshua's name, and as always, fish on. Old school.